Welcome to all our listeners out there. I am Dr. Tiffany Roberts, and this week we are highlighting some very important guests. These are amazing practitioners that have joined me in our collaborative book called The Way to Wholeness: Stories of Physical, Mental, and Emotional Healing. Today I am joined by Dr. Brooke Silverhorn. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, right. And she has been a doctor of chiropractic since 2007. In 2015, she opened Thrive Chiropractic and Wellness in Ocala, Florida. And her mission is to help women be empowered in their health and life so they and their families can thrive. In addition to providing gentle chiropractic for the whole family, Dr. Brooke offers in-person and online wellness consultations to discuss how she can serve you best. And other services that she provides is preconception and fertility health programs, women's health and life coaching, remedy testing, intuitive life coaching, and holographic manipulation therapy. Thank you so much for being here today, Dr. Brooke.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited about this.
Me too. It's going to be great. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Midwest, and I actually grew up going to chiropractors. I remember tagging along with my parents when they would go and get adjusted, and I think, and memory is an interesting thing, but I think the first time I was adjusted was around the age of 6. And then I was in middle school when I just started seeing the posters on the wall of my chiropractor and like making the connections that the nervous system has such a huge impact on health and function. And it was around that time that I decided I wanted to become a chiropractor. So I knew from, about age 13 that I wanted to be a chiropractor. And, I always say, like, through those hard years of high school and undergraduate college, my dad always said to me, stay the course. And so here I am today. I'm a chiropractor. I've been practicing for over 16 years. And my health and wholeness journey has been a long, tumultuous one. I really thought, it's an interesting thing, like your perspective as you grow and you change and learn. I thought I was healthy, and I can't say that I was unhealthy, but I just wasn't like peak potential, optimally healthy. And I had a lot of what I now, realize is that I've had traumas in my course of life, even though I have an amazing family and really an amazing life. I've had experiences that were traumatic. And, I learned a little bit this before I met you and Dr. Gabe, but really like meeting you and learning about HMT solidified that a lot of the health challenges that I faced, including thyroid cancer, were related to, traumas that I experienced and held in my body. And so it kind of was like all of these experiences that I've had in my own health journey just have led me on this path to, I still love chiropractic care. I utilize kind of a outside the norm technique that is really focused on creating coherence within the nervous system and basically tapping into the body's natural healing rhythms rather than me like just, putting a bone back in place, really focused on the body's natural healing. And I absolutely love it. And I think that it is an essential part of my healing journey and my practice members and, you know, the world for that matter. But I also have seen in my own healing journey and by observation of my practice members that when you don't deal with those mental and emotional stressors and traumas that are trapped in the body and in the subconscious mind, that you can hit a plateau. And I really wanted to seek, like, this is the way my body, you know, our bodies were created for optimal function and wholeness and expressing that. And yet there are things that we experience that kind of like hinder it in a sense and stop you from really expressing who you were created to be. And so my chapter is about a lot of the lessons that I learned through my healing journey. It kind of starts with being told I had thyroid cancer. I don't like saying that. I don't like saying I had thyroid cancer. You know, I was given a diagnosis.
The experience of having that.
Yes, I love it. I was given a diagnosis, and being who I am and having the mindset that I have as a chiropractor, believing in the body's innate ability to self-heal, self-correct, self-regulate. I took some time, not a real long time, but I took a little bit of time and basically said to myself, you know, do you truly believe that? Because if you do, then believing that removing your thyroid, removing an integral part of your body is not the best way to deal with this. And after that contemplation and, you know, prayer and discussions with family and my husband, I decided to choose a natural healing path. And I would say that I'm still on that because I discovered new layers of healing and new methods. So my chapter incorporates a lot of the lessons that I've learned since 2014, and the path that I've taken, and then how I incorporate those things into helping others. So.
Yes. I mean, when I read your chapter, it really gave me goosebumps because the first words were, "It's what we thought." And I'm like, oh my gosh, what was it? You know, I was like, oh my goodness, I had no idea, you know, and by going through your journey, I think a lot of women, and even men, are going to be drawn to that story because in my experience of clinical, you know, findings, the thyroid is where our voice is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that in your life that maybe at some point in your life, your voice was kind of suppressed and you didn't have it?
Absolutely. And so that was, and I feel like I probably didn't flesh that out in my chapter. So maybe there's another book in me.
Yes.
Like a whole book. But yeah, that was one of the things that through my healing journey, like the emotional side of it, because I did a lot of holistic juicing, body detoxification, kind of that physical side of things. But in the mental, emotional side of my healing journey, that was one of the first things that I came across. And then as I continued to dig, it was kind of the easy one to first point to was in adulthood. And it was more you know, like front and center. I was in a not great first marriage, and my voice was incredibly stifled. And so I could easily go to that one, but then as I continue to work, it's like, but wait, there's more. I know there's more. And And then I kind of peel back to like junior high, and then it's like, no, there's still more,
Mhm.
all the way to, around kindergarten, first grade. And I had a series of three, what you would perceive looking back as minor
Right.
experiences. But I now know that to my nervous system, all three of those, boom, 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 were traumatic because I was literally just like, not heard and not acknowledged. And still I knew that there was more. And that's when I found HMT, and it's like, oh, all the way back to before I was actually birthed,
Mhm.
that my spirit had trauma. And that has been just life changing for me. And it has allowed me in the last um, 10 months or so to really like just continue to peel back more and more layers and start expressing myself more and more. And I'm just excited for for what is to come and how I can impact more people, because like I said in the at the end of my chapter, I have a story. It's a powerful one, and to hold it back from people who can be impacted by it is like pushing me down a path of death. But if I share that story, it's expressing life and spreading life and wholeness to others. And and hopefully it will inspire them to then share their story, because we all have a story that can impact even just one person, that will then cause that ripple effect. um, I didn't add this in my chapter, but one of my favorite chiropractic quotes has always been, "You never know how far-reaching something you may think, say, or do today will impact the lives of thousands tomorrow, or millions." And that's attributed to BJ Palmer, the developer of chiropractic. And I just think like me sharing my part of my story in this chapter, and then sharing through this video. And my goal is to start a blog, or a blog, but also a podcast,
Right.
to share my story, and also provide a platform for others to share their healing journeys. So that's one of my goals in the months to come.
Fantastic. No, I think that's amazing because you're right. Everybody has a story. And when I was reading your chapter, I felt very similar to you, where I
Mm,
in my life have not been able to express my voice because at some point down the line, someone
mhm.
either pushed it away or said bad comments, making you feel like you have to go within and just be the little mouse in the
Yes.
corner. And by reading your chapter, I have been voicing myself a lot more. So thank you
Yay.
for that.
You're
because
welcome.
because I think that thyroid problems go, within the family, the generation, and it's not genetic, but when you see other adults that you are mimicking, you start to do the things that they've done, right?
Yes.
So you're being programmed as a young child to be quiet, to not be heard. And,
Mm,
we need to express ourselves in healthy ways and know that our feelings are important and what we have to say is
mhm.
important. So your chapter with all the lessons are really, truly amazing. And yes, you do have another book inside of you. Can you share with us? I know that maybe some people don't know a lot of what you do. So could you tell us maybe what your preconception and fertility programs kind of look like?
Sure. So I was originally trained through Dr. Marcia Schaefer, and um, the protocol that she developed is really a wellness protocol that anyone can use. It's not just for, preconception and fertility health. You don't have to be trying to conceive or struggling to conceive to do it, but basically, I work with couples who are wanting to conceive, wanting to start their family, or continue growing their family, and possibly are struggling. And we incorporate chiropractic is foundational. Your nervous system controls the function of everything in your body. So it doesn't matter if you are eating the perfect diet and have a great exercise routine. If your nervous system is disconnected, it's not going to be utilized as effectively. So chiropractic is foundational. And then we work on mindset, we work on nutrition, adding in essential nutrients that support optimal health, function, fertility. And then I also incorporate remedy testing, which is a quantum hair analysis. So the thing that I love about remedy testing is that it looks at your body really from a frequency vibrational perspective, instead of just like, this is what your blood levels are showing. And so we can see how your organs are functioning, what physical stressors are causing dysfunction, like toxin load, food sensitivities, environmental sensitivities, imbalances in your hormones. And then also it gives us information about the mental, emotional stress patterns that are contributing to that dysfunction, which then allows me to kind of like transition into HMT and intuitive life coaching to help them process those emotional stress patterns and kind of dig deeper even further to say, okay, so I know that these things related to father and God, or mother and home, or not listening to your intuition and things like that, those patterns, kind of working through them in a way where then the body just can start like healing itself. And then obviously HMT and everything else, I feel like it's just, I just keep pulling things together that have worked for me and just make sense for a very whole health perspective for healing. So
Perfect. Yeah, because you have many tools in the toolbox, and that makes it specific to the person. It's not just one cookie cutter approach and that's it. That's what I really love about it, because if you see that this person needs this, you can grab that and just make the package individual for that person. And I think that's amazing. That's where true really healing comes in, because
yeah.
not one person is the same. We all have a different journey on how we got where we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things too that I really try to reinforce, and sometimes it's tough because we want that quick hit of like immediate results, and yet I try to reinforce in people that it is a journey and their bodies are amazing. And what I'm doing is not about me being some, sort of miracle worker in their life. It's about me just waking up what was already inside of them and unlocking it.
Yes.
So that it can fully express. And the true miracle is in you and your body. me and my body, and not in what I'm doing to you.
You're just reminding their spirit of who they are.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. In your chapter, you have several different lessons. Can you share one lesson with us today? There's so
So,
many.
yeah. And I'm trying to remember what the title of it was, but the last lesson um, is about speaking your voice and um, basically roaring to the
Mhm.
world that you are here and you have something to offer. So I attended a healing retreat. That's not really like the best word to call it, but they call it the Gate. And the Gate is a place where chiropractors and their practice members and people who are like just really want kind of a next level healing in their life go. And specifically, there's a team of providing chiropractors who will adjust you using network spinal technique, which is the method that I use in my practice. And they have a room with like 30 plus tables all in a circle. And you, over the weekend, you get 5 sessions on the table, I believe. And it kind of takes you through this path of healing through different levels or seasons of healing with the technique. And that in and of itself was amazing. And then there was an extra day that I chose to attend. And in it, or on that day, there were different people who were kind of interviewed about their journey or what was stopping them from being whole and expressing their full potential. I was not one of the people who was selected to be interviewed, but then my understanding is that they made sure that the story of the people that they put on stage or brought to the microphone was relatable to as many people as possible in the room. So it really brought this collective impact, like a wider array of impact. And so this young man was on the stage, and Dr. Epstein, Donnie Epstein, who developed network spinal and wrote a book called 12 Stages of Healing, which is very impactful. He was interviewing him, and this young man had some thyroid challenges. That was one of the things. And at one point, Dr. Epstein just said, people who experience cancer and who die more quickly from cancer are not expressing themselves. They're just, they don't get angry. They don't express emotion. So getting angry or expressing emotion, expressing yourself requires a certain amount of energy, just like healing does. Mm-hmm. So if you're like, I'm doing what the doctors say, I'm going to chemo, whatever your path is, there's not enough energy to support healing, to support sustaining of life. And it just hit me that even though I went on this natural healing journey and I did a lot of things and I saw success in it, I also didn't express myself. I really was always just like, if there was conflict, I pull back. If somebody said something I didn't agree with, I wouldn't say a word. And it just, when we had opportunity then to share kind of our thoughts or a responsive part of the session, I jumped up to the microphone. I was not the first one, so I got to like process even more before I stepped up to the microphone. And one of the things that I said was, I don't want to stay in the story of I had thyroid cancer. And like we said earlier in our conversation, like it's hard to find the correct verbiage to use. I had that experience. And I just said, but I'm afraid to share my story. I'm afraid to tell the world, hey, I healed from thyroid cancer naturally. Because what if it comes back?
Right.
Or what if something, like a lot of what ifs, because I don't want to be perceived as fraudulent. And when I express that, like just expressing that had such a huge impact in my overall like energy in the moment. And as we kind of continued our little back and forth conversation, Dr. Epstein, he actually called one of the teaching doctors for the weekend, or one of the staff doctors for the weekend, up and whispered in his ear. And then he ran to the back and we continued this conversation. And then at a certain point, he said, well, are you ready? Are you ready to use your voice? Are you ready to just put it out there? And I said, yes, I'm ready. And he's like, okay, Lewis. And over the loudspeaker was this like really loud lion roar. And he said, I want you to roar like a lion. I want you to use your voice. And, I mean, there were like a couple hundred people in the room.
Yeah.
And that was scary.
Yeah.
I will totally admit, like, what are they gonna think of me? This is kind of weird. And yet I did it. I really, it like came up from my belly, this like low rumble that just then came out as this huge loud roar. And since then, I've roared a lot.
Yay.
There have been moments even a couple weeks ago where I was a little irritated with my teenager. She was not in the vehicle, but I was like, and I expressed myself. I think it's okay. I come from a Midwestern Christian family. My ancestors are Danish and Norwegian primarily. Like, we're just kind of like, you keep plodding through, and you don't express yourself that much, not too much.
Yeah.
And, I think that is one of the things that I've learned, is that getting it out instead of holding it in, maybe not expressing it at someone, because that causes a level of trauma for them,
Right.
potentially. But in that moment, I'm in my car and I roared, I screamed, I might have sworn. I don't swear very much. But if I do, it's like very, like
Very little.
well, there's intention behind it. But it has been really powerful, just there's so much with vibration and how that impacts you on a cellular level. So like the vibration of sound.
Mhm.
I'm learning more about just our animal nature with our stress response, fight or flight or freeze. It's a predator and a prey kind of response. And sometimes we get stuck in one or the other. And so expressing in a way that maybe like shifts you into a different like response is super powerful for your healing, for your body expressing itself. And I think for me, that lesson just is continuing in that expressing, not holding it in, not because, you know, there have been so many times in my life where I've been frustrated.
Yeah.
Something didn't sit right with me in my spirit, something I couldn't control. And I didn't verbalize it. I didn't express myself, and I held it right here. And I felt the tension. So now when I feel the tension, I do HMT, I express myself, I find the source of that tension that I'm holding on to if I don't know specifically what it is in that moment. And I'm using my voice more and sharing more. And I think that is, again, just like a powerful part of my continued healing journey. Coming back to myself, coming back to wholeness, or moving forward to wholeness, however you want to look at it.
Right.
So
That is amazing. That every time I read that and just listen to you about that story, I get real goosebumps and I'm starting to tear up. But yes, I mean, using your voice is very important. And like you said, you don't want to really put it onto somebody, but being able to express it, even if you just go out to nature or something and just, you know,
yeah,
sing with the birds or something,
yeah.
just to get it out.
After that initial experience, I actually shared that in a video, a live video that I did in my women's health Facebook group that I am not consistently posting in, but anyway. And so for me, like I actually had a couple people on live, and right before I roared over the camera, but right before I was like, is this a good idea? Do I do this? Are they gonna think I'm weird? So it's not like I, you know, have it all together yet when it comes to expressing myself. But I also, you know, I think it's just, again, stepping out into that more and more. I attended a healing retreat that my business coach did in November, and we actually did activities where you kind of embodied an animal that, and so for me, it was a lioness. I think lionesses are super powerful because they're all about family.
Right.
Oh my.
Yes.
They're very powerful and they work together. I think for women to take a lesson from lionesses, that, you know, they are part of a tribe, they support each other, and in a healing journey, that is super important. But probably one of the most powerful things in me starting to express myself more is seeing where my daughters have learned the way that I was before,
Right.
and now correcting it. So that's a whole new level of just healing for my family, is to teach them earlier in life the lessons that I am learning in my 30s and now 40s. And is also one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about preconception health, because if you can heal your nervous system, if you can heal those past traumas that you don't even remember or know about, emotionally, mentally, physically, it's not just about eating right and exercising and making sure that you're getting the right prenatal vitamin. If you can, at the core of your being, express a higher level of function mentally, emotionally, physically, you're gonna, flip on certain genetic expression. You're gonna flip off bad ones that maybe your parents passed to you, so that you literally will pass on like the very best of yourself to your children. And then that changes the world, because you're creating human beings that are healthier and truly thriving. And I also have to remind myself, because I didn't learn these lessons before I conceived my children, that the changes that I'm making still impact them because of the mirror neurons in our brain that literally we are reflecting each other back. So the positive changes that I'm making, they're going to reflect. And that's powerful in and of itself. So for those women my age in their 30s and 40s who are now just coming to a sense of themselves and in their healing journey, it's not too late to have an impact on your family. But for those young women in their 20s who are wanting to start a family, like, start now.
Yes, absolutely. So how do our listeners reach out to you? How are they able to connect with you?
Well, I'm basically on all the platforms, but probably the easiest way would be my business website, which is thrivewithchiro.com. And you can actually click a link at the very top of the page to schedule with me if you want to schedule a complimentary consultation, and we can chat to see how I can best support you. If you want to do some, look into social media, all my links are on there as well. So.
Perfect. Yes, I will put all that information in the comments below for everyone to reach out to you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add for today?
Oh, well, there are freebies on my website. So if you want free health supportive content, there's freebies. I have the beginnings of a blog on there, and I also have videos on YouTube and all the social platforms too. So lots of free stuff out there that you can hopefully use to in your journey.
Awesome. That's amazing. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Brooke. She is in chapter 5 of our book, The Way to Wholeness, Stories of Physical, Mental, and Emotional Healing, releasing later this week. So be sure to grab your copy and read her story. Thank you so much, Dr. Brooke, for being with us today.
Thank you, Tiffany. It was so fun.